So this video is, you can see, working on a 2004 BMW M3 E46. And today, fixing, or actually replacing, that pig squeal idler pulley tensioners on both the AC and the drive belts. So you can see I've got all the parts here out and got all the tools. A couple things I will tell you, highly recommend. Jacked up the car, as always, for safety. Little jack stand under there to keep it from falling down. Only needed to jack up one side of the car. Just to get under there, there's a couple of things that you need to do. I've seen a lot of people do this on E46s. Don't see any videos on the M, and so I just wanted to point out a couple things that are definitely different on the M. You can see in here, I've already got all the parts and all the belts off. They're all laying on the ground. One thing that's unique, that's a little frustrating, this part of the fan housing shroud doesn't have a slot or a slit in it, so unless you feel like taking off your radiator hose here, you're going to leave this one on, and that's what I did. I was able to get everything done with that on. The other thing I did, you can notice, air box completely removed. To get that off on the M, you will have to remove this bolt, which is underneath your, like, I think they call that the HID headlight controller. So I had to take that off to get the air box out. It just makes a little bit more room in here when you're trying to get mainly the shroud out. I will tell you, the fan and the shroud, hardest part of this entire job, quite honestly. Couple things, looking at your belts, this is a bad belt. Replace this one. The kit I bought is from ECS. Give those guys a little respect. ECS Tuning. That's who my kit came from, and the kit so far seems pretty awesome as far as all the parts and things going. So bad belt, you see all these little cracks. Brand new belt, no cracks in that new belt, so you can see it right there. Did get the other belt, which is the main drive belt, to replace it, but quite honestly this one looks in good shape. But considering that it's so difficult to get that fan shroud off, I'm obviously throwing that one away. So let's take a look at what we've got here. This is the mechanical tensioner for the air conditioning belt side. The kit from ECS does not include these two bolts, so we will reuse those. Two bolts, the rest of the bolts did come. If you notice, they already have this little pin in here. That's already preloading it away so that you can access these two bolts. If you notice, this one, you can see that one's preloaded over to that part, and with the pin locking it in, this one is not. It is really a pain to access that bolt. As you can see, it's right behind there. So the way to do that is to put a socket with a Torx head on there, turn it counterclockwise. It's kind of a pain. If you can get it far enough, then put that pin in there, and that'll hold it there while you take this out with an M13 ratchet. I just took two different socket wrenches, put one in and held that down with my other hand while I pulled that M13 out. I will tell you, if that socket comes loose from there, this idler pulley right here is going to smack you in the hand, and it'll knock your finger right out of joint. So make sure you got a good hold on that if you're doing that. Moving over to the drive side tensioner pulley, and this one's more of a hydraulic pulley. This is the old one. I'll move over here and I'll show you the nice new one. Of course, I'm doing this at 108,000 miles, so I labeled that for the next person that ever takes this apart. They'll know if this is needing to be replaced or not. The kit did come with all of these new bolts, even the new cap that's going to go over that to cover that bolt up when I'm done. Bolt Torques, you can find them online. Beamerfest had a great blog, but based on the size and the number, which is on the end there is an 8.8, this should be 24 Newton meters, which is like 17 foot-pounds, 17.7 foot-pounds for all of these. So that's going to be easy to put back on. They also gave in the kit the new idler pulley here and a new bolt for that. It's a bigger bolt, it's like an M10, so it's like 47 Newton meters. But here's the old one that I took out. This is the one that I think was really giving me my pig squealing sound the most out of all the parts that I had to be replaced. And it's not supposed to freewheel like that, so that'll get that taken care of as well. This one also shouldn't be freewheeling, but that's all going to be replaced. The kit comes with the parts for that, a new cap to cover it. It comes with the new bolt. It's also 47 Newton meter M10, and then the new parts. So everything in the ECS kit is included. Just disappointed it didn't give me those two bolts there, but all these other bolts are going to be brand new bolts, all new plastic caps in case you break one, taking them off. You're going to have all that stuff that you need. So let me get busy showing you how I put a bunch of this back together, and I want to give you a couple tips on how I took that shroud and stuff apart. A lot of people are showing you also to get the fan housing off. They were buying a 32 millimeter wrench. I used a crescent wrench for that, and they sell a specialty tool that you can put on these two bolts to hold the water pump pulley in place while you loosen that, but it really wasn't that tight. And so I'll show you. I basically held that in place just like that with a flat blade screwdriver and just pried it against there and held that in place while I popped that off. Had it been really hard, I would have went and bought something, but it wasn't that tight. So that's it. I'll post a couple other pieces to this video as I'm putting it back together. Thanks. So I got the M3 put all back together. Just wanted to point out a couple things. So these little things take longer to take out than they should. That's probably the hardest part of taking this thing apart. So this one here, this one, and this one, pretty easy. Then you can remove this little induction cowl thing here, air intake diverter. And then I'll show you this piece of the fan shroud and this piece are separate pieces, so you should take this one out. There's another one just down here that's very hard to see. Even in daylight, that one's hard to see to get out, but take that one out. Then you can remove this side. This other side will not remove because it is surrounded around the radiator hose, but you should still loosen this. There is a another one of these plastic pop-in kit deals right behind the radiator hose. So the radiator hose comes across here, and you will find one right behind it. That one's a hard one. That'll take this loose, and then you can just kind of move it out of the way. Then you will find 4 screws holding the rest of this shroud in. A long one on this side, a short one on this side, but it's not going in this direction. It comes in from the side, which is a real pain in the neck because your screwdriver, it's a Torx, and your Torx screwdriver will not fit in there. It's going to hit all the headlamp stuff. So that one's kind of a pain. I used a Torx bit in the end of my socket, and that fit in better. Just get a small 1/4-inch drive socket to get that to work though. You will have to remove electrical harnesses, one here and one here, right there, before you pull up the fan shroud. Next thing is, and everybody is talking about this one obviously, you've got that 32mm nut right there. That holds your fan on. This is an SMG car, so I don't know if it's different on a manual, but you got to loosen that, and that's why I use the screwdriver to just wedge it in there between those two bolts. It wasn't very tight, so it just came right loose. Then you can spin it off the rest of the way. By the way, that one's left-hand thread, so turn it counterclockwise as you're facing the front of your M3, and then that will come loose, and then you can just spin the fan blade the rest of the way, and it'll spin that right off. The rest of the stuff went on really easy, so don't think there's any much point in that. Once you've got all the parts off, it's just basically repeat that process, mounting them back on, and everything is good. So there you have it. That's my little tips if you want to take some of that advice. If not, that's no problem. Please leave a comment, and hope you liked the video. The M3's all done, and there's your big sister, the new 2011. So thanks, and leave some comments, thumbs up on the video if you like it, and hope it helped you save some money. I will tell you, ECS Tuning sold me all of that kit for about 220 bucks shipped, and for 220 bucks it would have been 500 at the mechanic to take care of it, probably 600 at the BMW dealer. Thanks.